This is Al from albopepper.com, and today I'm starting an experiment comparing two different types of grow light systems. But in addition, I'm also looking at how you can formulate your own seed starting potting mix. As a comparison, I'm using as sort of a baseline or my control a seed starting mix from Scott's EnviroGro. So this is a synthetic based, somewhat overpriced bag of potting mix. If you're able to mix your own and do it at a decent value, being able to do it on your own is a great way to go. But what's the point in doing that if you don't get reliable results? I'm hoping to get not just something that works decent, but maybe even outperforms this EnviroGro mix. So I'm going to be testing it with 3 different plants: some basil, some kale, and also some lettuce. And I'm going to be doing 2 pots for each, and I'm going to have one group that is grown under my new LED light and one that's grown under a fluorescent T5 system. So let's take a look and see how this is all going to be set up. On this side with the EnviroGro, it's pretty simple. I made sure that it was properly moistened, and I'm going to fill up each of these containers with just that mix straight up, nothing to supplement it, and the moisture level pretty decent for starting seeds. Now, in regards to my own concoction, this Albo mix, seed starting mix that I'm using, I'm going to go over each of the components, and I'm doing a double batch, but the measurements that I'll tell you are based upon doing a single batch, which would yield a little bit over 2 quarts. So the first component, which I think is absolutely crucial to this, and I attribute a lot of the success in my initial tests to using worm castings. These are worm castings that I actually harvested myself from my own redworms, and I'm going to be using 4 cups in a single batch of just worm castings alone. Then next, I'm using 3 cups of Coir, and this is a nice textured loose Coir that has some nice fiber to it. So it's pre-washed and it's balanced as far as the pH and the salt levels. I think it's really like some of the best stuff that you can get. So single batch, 3 cups. Then 1 cup of peat moss. Then 1/8 of a cup of perlite. This happens to be a horticultural perlite. It's very fine. Same with this, which is 1/8 of a cup of vermiculite. If this is something that you're looking to mix up for yourself, the vermiculite you certainly could do without. You don't have to have that. That's probably the easiest thing to just leave out if it's difficult for you to get. But I like vermiculite. So now for some extra nutrients in this. The worm castings are great because already they have in them a very good supply. But in addition here, I have a basic organic fertilizer from Espoma, and it's a 4-3-3 mix biotone. This is what the bag looks like. I actually bought it in bulk, and you can see how I've used almost all of it already. But I think that it's great stuff, and the amount that I'm using for that is 3/4 of a tablespoon. Then next, I'm using some Dolomitic Lime, which gives you your magnesium and your calcium, and helps a little bit with some pH balancing. As for the amount that I'm using of that, it's 2 teaspoons. Also, I'm using 2 teaspoons of Azomite, which is a rock dust, and that gives you some good trace minerals. Something else that helps with trace minerals is green sand, and I'm using, once again, 2 teaspoons of green sand. Also is a good source of potassium. Then in addition to that, I'm doing some dried blood, which is very high in nitrogen. And of course, when you read up on that, a lot of times you'll see that they say not to use that with seeds. But I'm putting it in anyways, and I'm not really afraid. So I'm just going to see how that works. But the amount that I'm using isn't very much. It's just 1 teaspoon of that. And then also I'm using 1 teaspoon of fishbone meal, which is a great source of phosphorus, and it also has some nitrogen in it too. So I'm going to mix all this up, and then I'll have my own personal potting mix, my own mixture ready to go. I finished mixing up my potting mix. I wrote a B, a K, and an L for the basil, the kale, and the lettuce, and I'm using red letters for my own mix, and I'm using blue letters for the EnviroGro so I can keep track of what's what. So I'm just going to come in here and just fill up every one, move on to the next, then after that I'll be able to put the seeds in. I'm wrapping up filling my synthetic, my EnviroGro starting mix container, and I'm going to be ready to move on to planting all the different seeds. I'm going to do 2 seeds per container, just as a little bit of a fail-safe there. And I'll pick the healthiest one out of each container as they start to develop, get a couple true leaves on them, and then I'll snip off the competitor, just leaving 1 seedling per container. It's nice too because I'm testing with basil, with kale, with lettuce, a variety of things, and kind of give us a better representation of how this will do across different types of vegetables. I've sown all of my seeds, and now it's time to have a look at my growing environment. I'm testing 2 different artificial lights at the same time. They're separated from each other, and they have no supplemental light. This first one, which is on the bottom of my grow chamber, is a fluorescent light setup, which uses 4 T5 bulbs. This is an EnviroGro light distributed by Hydrofarm. The distance from the bottom of these lights to the tops of these pots is only 2.5 inches, very close to these lights. So we're going to see how this setup of lights does in comparison to the new LED grow light that I just purchased from Apollo. If we move up to the upper section of my grow chamber, here is the other half of my test subjects. And above them is this LED grow light. I'm not using any supplemental light with this, so whatever results I get is purely from this artificial light. There isn't even any ambient light in this room from natural sunlight. The distance is much further away, and I measured it from the bottom of this light all the way down to the tops of these pots is 23.5 inches. A dramatic difference in distance. So we're going to see how that works. While I test the difference in lights, I'm also, of course, testing my own Albo-Grow mix and this EnviroGro mix side by side. As time progresses, we'll see how each of these does, and I'll be able to compare the top results under my LED lights with the bottom results under my T5 lights. These share the exact same timer, and I have them on a 17-hour cycle. We're going to see how this works out, and I can't wait to see the results.